What's up and good morning, War Report family? It's Tuesday, and as always, we're talking Hugh Freeze's weekly press conference. Oklahoma is on the horizon. What did the head coach have to say about his team going into Oklahoma's first visit to the Plains? Strap it on.
You are now listening to the War Report. Drop.
Morning drop. It's Tuesday, and joining me as always is my guy, Charli 5 of everything. Charli 5 of guest of Locked On, The Barn. Visit thebarnauburn.com for a lot of great conversation. We'll talk about that later. Charli, how's your week going, man?
Oh man, I'm sort of. I think I've gotten past the. I've gotten past the despair. I'm ready to. I'm ready to roll. I've sort of talked myself into if we can just limit the turnovers, we can still be pretty competitive down the stretch. So let's see what happens.
Before we jump in here, guys, do me a favor. Do the usual. Share this video using @TheWarReport on social media. Hashtag Get Your Weight Up so people know where to find us. Hit like and subscribe. Every time you guys hit like, it helps us in that algorithm. We need the engagement. So after the video, make sure to share your thoughts with myself and Charli 5. Charli will be in the comments to make sure you know that he's right and I'm right and you're wrong. At the War Report on Instagram and Twitter, TW Report on TikTok. Charli, Hugh Freeze faced the media today after another tough loss to the Arkansas Razorbacks in Jordan-Hare. Auburn is currently 2-2, headed into their fifth game of the season, which is Oklahoma. He was asked a lot of questions today, and he started with a summary of how he felt the defense went. This is what he had to say.
Look back at the Arkansas game, it went through obviously every single play, and man, our defense, God, I thought their effort was incredible. I thought they played hard and physical and got 2 interceptions, fourth down stop. I thought they played the ball downfield better in one-on-one situations than we've been. I think Champ was obviously playing really, really well, and his surgery went well, and he's in good spirits. I thought we contained their explosives outside the quarterback scrambles, obviously, and but I just thought we played really hard, and you take his rushes away, and they have very, very little in the rushing game at all.
He was happy with the defensive performance. There were some explosive plays by Arkansas, but as he noted, if you take away the explosive plays, there wasn't a ton there for Arkansas. Now, I tweeted this out. Auburn held Arkansas to 334 yards of total offense. If I took away the score, Charli, and the turnovers, and you just saw the stat sheet, you would think Auburn won that game. What do you think about Hugh Freeze's comments about the defense here?
I was so happy with the performance of the defense. If you look at it from a whole, I mean, my God, we turned it over 4 times in the first half, and we were only down 7 points. I mean, those guys were eating, they were hitting. I feel terrible for Champ Anthony, who had an unbelievable play to jar a ball loose on one of their best athletes, and then had the terrible injury to his leg. I mean, overall, I feel like it's night and day from what you saw the week prior at New Mexico. They were aggressive. There was times, obviously, when they laid back that I'm sure we'll talk about. But overall, they got pressure on him. That they frustrated him. They got him to throw us some balls. I mean, that's all you could ask for, in my opinion, in that game, with what the offense was doing to continue to put you in bad positions. Every single one of their points, I think, came off of a mistake or a turnover. If you look at it, so it was. I thought they played, as good as you can play under the circumstances.
It's funny. I tweeted that I thought that Auburn's defense is giving Auburn a chance to win, and 100%. People were in arms about this statement, and I'm like, guys, is this debatable? Really?
No,
I think the defense is not perfect. Certainly, it's not perfect. There's a lot of criticism of the 3-down linemen that Durkin is running. But look, man, Oklahoma runs a decent amount of 3-down linemen. It either works or it doesn't. And if you are keeping 7 points for Arkansas in that first half, and that came off of a dumb penalty on a drop that would have ended deep in Arkansas territory had it not been for the late hit by Austin Keys there out of bounds. Freeze characterized the hit, Charli, as selfish. He's not a dirty player, and I don't think he's a selfish player. I just think it was a lapse in judgment in that moment. So I don't know if I was go as far as selfish.
He hit him and he immediately knew he made a mistake.
Yeah,
so
you saw him like go like this
or try to almost pull up a little bit, but you got to be aware. You got to be a little bit more aware of the moment at times like that. But I mean, still, he played a great game. He made some plays. I think overall, I mean, it's hard. You can pinpoint, you can pick apart stuff if you want to. You can talk about the busted long play, but at the end of the day, the defense gave the offense the ball back. Arkansas was one of the top third down conversion teams in the whole country, and I think they still got their fair share. But Auburn made them punt, and Auburn turned them over multiple times, which hasn't been done yet this year. And again, kept giving the ball back to the offense to make something happen, and we just give it right back.
Ken Lee in his return came up with an interception. I was happy to see that. And so these
That's
guys,
how you play that play. That is how you play DB on a play like that. That is you locate the receiver, and then you find the ball, and then you make a play on the ball. And he's got great body control, and that was just a great textbook interception. That's how you play corner.
They've struggled to find the ball, get their heads around on those plays. It feels like they're just chasing the play constantly.
Yeah.
But on the other side of the ball, Hugh Freeze was asked today about what is your offensive identity? Who are you on offense? This is what he had to say.
We're exactly what we're doing. I think we're good at it. Other than 10 turnovers in 2 games, I think there's open receivers. I think we're running the ball effectively. I'm not sure why we would want to change any of that other than maybe we should not maybe we should call a few less shot plays maybe, or landmarks. They're not really sharp shot plays, and maybe just stick to the RPO game, and we got to evaluate all of that. But don't feel like any. I mean, go watch the game, and you see. I mean, we're moving the football, and we just. So I believe in what we're doing, and I don't think there's any changes that need to be made other than 10 turnovers is tough in 2 football games.
What do you make of his comments here about offensive identity? It feels like Auburn is still searching. They want to run the ball more, but they're not. And in these games where they've passed it more than they've run it, the results have been disastrous. What do you think here?
Well, this game, I don't know that I feel like the balance had an opportunity to be there in this game. If you take away the desperation drives where you ran, I think 8 or 9 pass plays in a row at the end of the game, you ran the ball. I believe if you didn't run it a couple of plays more than you passed it, it was right at 50-50, which is, I think, where you really want to be. And then your time of possession was limited, which lowered your play count, which lowered the opportunities to give guys runs. And then you had the Damari fumble on a run call. I felt like they established a run at times. I get what he's saying. It sounds bad because it sounds like you're not going to do anything to fix the offense seems broken, but when you really look at it, Auburn's got a top 30 defense. Top 30 offense in total yardage. Like there's you think about that first drive, like you walk down the field before you turned it over. The second interception, you walk down the field before you turned it over. You were moving the ball like they are.
They moved the ball.
He's right in that they're moving the ball. And if in his mind, if we can just figure out how to not throw 4 interceptions, if you just throw 2 interceptions, what's the outcome of that game? Like,
right.
I get what he's saying, and I think he's right. I think the identity of this team is we're an RPO offense, and we're not quite there yet to be able to drop back and take a bunch of deep shots. We're just not there yet. I don't think we have the protection. I'm not sure that we have the quarterback that feels comfortable in that. So we're going to try to play small ball and pound the run at times, and hopefully we don't turn it over and we can get more possessions. And I think if you'd have had more possessions in that game, you probably would have had more runs. And again, the Damari fumble hurt too.
Yeah, the Damari fumble was demoralizing.
Sure.
It was, yeah, and I hate it for that young man because he works his ass off and he's super talented. But I thought he was going to get out of bounds there at the end, and then he cut it back to the inside to try to get the touchdown. And you got to hold on to the football, but it's not just been him. Jarquez has had trouble holding on to the ball as well. So it's tough. I think it's getting tough out here to watch them create explosive plays, but then not be able to finish and things end up in disaster at some point. You've got to change that. So offensive identity, we'll see what they do. Speaking of offensive identity, a big part of that is who your signal caller is. Who do you have at quarterback? Hugh Freeze made a decision, Charlie, to pull Hank Brown at halftime in this game. I'm going to give my thoughts on this after we listen to the clip here, but here's what Hugh Freeze had to say on pulling Hank Brown at halftime.
Coach, you've said repeatedly that as a coaching staff, you guys are graded on performance. Were you able to identify the why for the quarterbacks? You've got 8 interceptions between the 2 losses here. Why these guys aren't seeing the field, and how do you coach it differently? You pulled Hank at halftime. What went into that decision, and how do you manage this?
Well, really went into that decision is I'd experienced that 2 weeks earlier and wasn't going to continue down that road. And it has nothing to do with my confidence in Hank, but at that moment, our team, I think we needed something else to try to give us a shot. I mean, we're in a close game there, and I know that the plan is effective and working. So let's try to find somebody that takes care of it a little better on this given night, and that was the reason.
We saw it play out before. I didn't have a problem with much with anything Hugh Freeze did in his press conference except for this.
Okay.
I think Hank Brown deserved the chance to go out there and fail completely.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go.
Let's flip-flop it. Okay. Let's say that Hank was the first one that threw 4 interceptions in the game, and then you put Thorne in to throw, and Thorne throws 3 interceptions in the first half. What he's saying to me is less to do. It's less to do with Peyton Thorne, and it's more to do with, man, I let a guy that was in a funk try to throw his way out of it, and he continued to throw interceptions in the second half. So I got a guy that's in a similar funk who's making similar decisions. So do I just let him try to throw himself out of it again, or do I try something different? I mean, to me, that's how I took it. And I get people are saying, oh, you let Thorne throw 4 interceptions. Why didn't you let Hank get another shot? And maybe there's some credibility to that. Maybe there's something to that, but I think it's less about who the quarterbacks were. I mean, I believe earlier in the week of New Mexico, he said something about quarterbacks being on a short leash of carrying stuff from practice to the game. And we all assumed that was Peyton Thorne, but I really think it's both of them. I think it's both of them. And this was an example of it.
The delineation between the two for me, Charlie, is one is a 4-year starter and the other one is a freshman in his first SEC start. So, again, just my opinion, you pull him at halftime, you say, hey, look, we're not seeing the field. Let's try some different things here. Let's figure out what you can run. Now, when he got a chance to watch the tape, I don't know if you saw the Aaron Murray breakdown of the game, but Aaron, said, hey, that first interception, right? Like, he threw that ball with anticipation, and the DB peeled off the man that he was covering and turned around. It's hard to anticipate that. I wouldn't put that on him. And I agreed with him completely. If you look at how he talked about that with Thorne, with Keandre Smith running in open, and he said, these guys are running out of the play. They're not going to make a play. Well, it was a little tighter there, so it wasn't exactly the same thing, but it was kind of in the same area of the field. And I just would have liked to see Hank get a chance to work through that at least for another half a quarter. Maybe you come out because you were moving the ball with him in the game.
Sure.
It was just about the decision-making. Thorne came in, he threw an interception. I don't think that was on him. Cam Coleman's got to catch that ball. I think you and I agree. Like, he's got to catch that ball. But I have so many questions about where they're going to go from here. Now, he did talk a little bit about Peyton. This is a short clip, but I do want to play this for our listeners.
It's going to be a battle this week. Try to figure out who can master the plan against all these fronts that we're going to face at Oklahoma.
So he said it's going to be a battle this week. And he said, I don't know. I just don't know what you're evaluating here.
Yeah.
You don't have a ton of tape on the other one. You've seen plenty of practice tape on Payne Thorne. I don't know what he shows you in practice that makes you feel any more confident about him unless you're trying something new and different. And he doesn't feel like they need to change what they're doing because you've got guys open. These guys just have to find them. You know, what do you make of the battle that's going on here? What does Hugh Freeze use as criteria to decide who his starting quarterback is?
I honestly have no idea. I mean, when they're sort of doing similar things as far as, I guess, throwing into coverage, or they're also having great practices and then they go kind of see some ghosts on game days, is I don't know what you did. Like, what do you evaluate off of? I mean, maybe, you know, he says I don't want to change anything because it's there. Well, maybe you have to go. Maybe you have to. Maybe they can't do it. Maybe they don't have the ability to diagnose it in the game. Maybe they don't grasp it. I don't know what the answer is. Maybe you have to go to, you know, more of the, you know, maybe some of that middle of the year last year Peyton run game or something like that, where it's, you know, heavy dose of run and, you know, probably making wide receivers not very happy. I don't know. I really don't know. It's a very, very tough situation because on one hand, I agree with him. There's people open. You can listen to Aaron Murray basically tell you exactly how the play's drawn up, what's supposed to happen. And he hasn't played football in multiple years and tell you what the reads are and where they're supposed to go. And then you see how the play works exactly like he describes it. And then we just don't execute it. So it's it's like I don't know who the edge is. I don't know who the edge is. And I'd love to say go with the future and just play Hank, but I'm not sure Hank is the guy for 2025. So like, what do you do here? Like it's a very, very tough predicament. And that's why I think it's like, hey, we got to go with how we feel and then see how it goes in the game. And if they're seeing ghosts, we may make a switch, but they may both be on a short leash, which is not an ideal scenario to be in.
One thing we know that will be written to death from now until a time that Auburn starts winning football games is the decision not to pursue a portal QB in the offseason because of where the current QB room is. You just stated you don't know if Hank is the guy for 2025. So that leaves you – Holden Gerner is going to be out of here. Peyton's going to be out of here. Hank presumably will stay, but if he's not the guy, that leaves you with Walker White and whoever you bring in, whether it be from high school or from the portal. So it'll be interesting. But one thing I do know, Charlie, is that if you're looking for more content on who the starting quarterback is going to be, you can find it in the Autograph app. Autograph is your one-stop shop for the best news, tickets, scores, and swag to power your daily sports fandom. Being a fan is hard work. And if you want more Charlie 5, I'll tell you where you can find them in the Autograph app. Let Autograph do the heavy lifting. Follow your favorite teams, leagues, and get informed with the best articles, podcasts, and videos in one place. Each article read, each video watched, and podcast listened is counted as an act of fandom. As you complete acts of fandom, you earn coins and level up in your community. Get recognized for your fandom and rewards as you level up and earn coins. Autograph has tickets to all your favorite teams' games, and best of all, you'll never pay hidden fees when you purchase in the app. When you just have to get there, get tickets through Autograph. Join the fandom revolution today. Download Autograph in your phone's app store and use code RAPPORT to sign up. Now, there's a QR code down here for our listeners. If you scan that with your phone, if you're watching on TV, it will automatically populate our referral code. This is something that we ask you to do. It's absolutely free, Charlie. You don't have to pay anything for Autograph, and you just do all the things you normally do, and you earn rewards. Autograph is there servicing Auburn fans, and even if it's your favorite pro team. I told Zach, look, man, all your Patriots crap is right in here. Autograph for you. We got two more things to get to before we get out of here today. Turnovers have been a problem.
Yeah.
In the two losses, 10 total turnovers, 8 interceptions by the quarterbacks. Here's what Hugh Freeze had to say about turnovers.
But I hadn't met with the quarterbacks yet, and just kind of hear them talk me through, the decision that was made, and see if we did an adequate job of preparing them for that given play, or if it's just something they saw, or just a poor decision. We've got to figure out all of that, and if we haven't coached them well enough on that given play for the coverage that was given on it, that's something we've got to look at ourselves about. If they can explain it totally in detail, then we got to expect better from them also. So it's kind of a combination of things that we'll have to find out when we go through it with them here in just a little bit.
Turnovers. Turnovers are killing the Auburn Tigers. I think if you take away the turnovers, we're talking about a 4-0 Auburn. What do you make of Hugh Freeze's comments on his team's propensity to turn the ball over to the other team?
Oh man, I mean, I agree with him, and some of it, when you really go back and think of some of the turnovers, some of them seem, kind of freakish. It's almost like they're snake bit a little bit, and then some of them obviously are just really bad decisions. But yeah, I mean, it is true. I hate playing the what if game. Like if you don't do this, or if you do this, like what happens? But I mean, it's true that the time people talk about time of possession, Auburn struggling in time of possession, that has a lot to do with it. Turning the ball over continually, and then taking points off the board. I mean, if Auburn has 2 turnovers in that, or 3 turnovers in that game, there's probably 2 turnovers that you could take away out of that game, and they're worth, a 14-point swing against Arkansas. So it's just, how do you stop a quarterback from throwing interceptions? And I don't know, man. It's tough.
Yeah, it's hard. No turnovers is not something I think is an expectation here. The turnovers are going to happen, but some of the turnovers are so untimely, and it's stopping momentum. You're struggling to move the ball, and then when you do move the ball, you turn it over to the other team. I think for Hank, now, if you rewatch the New Mexico game, Charli, Hank threw into like triple coverage on one play.
Yeah, the very last play of the game.
I was like, okay, get that out of your system, because you're not going to be able to do that next week versus Arkansas. I don't think he threw into any triple coverage in this one, but, he had one sail on him over the middle that ended up in an interception. Obviously, he had the one that DB made the great play on the ball. I just they've got to get a handle on these turnovers. I saw something that a certain beat writer wrote about ball security as well, too, about being in practice and seeing the running backs go through tackling drills and thinking, was there some technique issues that he thought might be an issue on Saturdays? I don't know if that's, really a thing. I just know there's something's got to be fixed. I think it's between the ears, though. These guys are all capable of doing the right thing.
I love Damari. I love Damari. He's I think the most explosive back on our team. He's laid the ball on the ground every single year he's been here.
Yeah.
I think he fumbles every 30 carries, unfortunately. So maybe there's I don't know how many different ways you can hold a football, but when it comes to Damari, for some reason, there's guys that just, I don't know if it's like you said, a mental thing or what it is. They just sometimes they have trouble with ball security. I think about Mario Fannin, who is an unbelievable running back, very, very explosive. He just had fumble problems, and some of that was his shoulder. So I don't know if Damari's still having issues with a shoulder that makes it to where it's harder for him to hold on to the ball. But I don't know. I don't know that I buy that too much. But I could be wrong too.
Well, they're going to have to hold on to the ball this Saturday for sure. Oklahoma brings in a vicious rush defense.
Yeah.
Certainly they're going to try to force Auburn to throw the ball, but if you cannot establish the run in this one, you're going to have a really hard time, even at home. Oklahoma comes to the Plains for the first time in the history of college football. Should be a good one. Sticking with the theme of running backs, the last question that was asked was about the running game and incorporating the running backs into the game plan. Here's what Hugh Freeze had to say.
Coach, can you talk about your running back room here? You guys are moving the ball on the ground, averaging pretty good amount of yards per carry. How do you get the running backs more involved this week versus Oklahoma and get on the right side of that run-pass ratio?
Yeah, the scary thing is, I watched the explosive reel first thing yesterday, and there's been one explosive run all year on them, and that's more than 10 yards, and it was a reverse. So that was not a comfortable feeling to see that. You kind of take the Tennessee game out of it a little bit because they played Tennessee totally different than they played the 3 safety odd wide look. I haven't seen them in that in any other game, so I think that they may play us that way. I don't know. I doubt it. But if you take that game out, there's only one explosive run. So we do believe in our running backs. We believe in our running game. We were meeting just then, finalizing our base down runs, and we got to figure out a way to win first down with some runs, and probably need to operate a little more. We did a study yesterday on ourselves, self-scouting wise, and when we stay in our run game, RPO world, on second down, we have converted the third downs a high percentage of the time. When we've gone to a drop back pass, the percentages drops off quite considerably. So, it means we're either running the ball effectively or making good decisions in the RPO world.
So the running backs, he noted that Oklahoma has only allowed one explosive play all season long.
And it was a reverse on the ground.
If Auburn cannot run the ball, what does this look like? Does Auburn have a chance if they can't run the ball here?
Well, you don't really have an option because like he just said, if it's drop back passing, you're going to have an issue. Maybe with the RPO, it keeps a little bit of the aggression in check a little bit. But I wonder too, and Zach Blackerby actually brought up this point that I'm wondering if defenses can game the RPO a little bit, where it's like, hey, let's see if we can signal them into a pass, and maybe the quarterback's making the correct read and it's taking them away from the running game a little bit too. So maybe against Oklahoma, he says RPO, but maybe you go to a little bit more called run plays where it's like more designed downhill instead of running a lot of RPO, because if they can kind of figure out you're in an RPO, why not bring an extra defender down and make you read pass and then just take their chances that eventually you'll throw an interception, even if you're picking up yardage and you're moving it down the field. I don't know. I don't know the answer. I thought it was a good theory, but I think you got to run the ball. You have to be able to run the ball, and you got to be able to play off of that to be able to beat Oklahoma. But the problem is, if you run the ball, what if you fumble? Because you're fumbling the ball. So there doesn't really seem to be a really true safe option to go with because you're so turnover prone. But that's why it's almost like I just think we got to keep doing what we're doing, and some of these freaky plays, will kind of work themselves out. But the law of numbers eventually has to go back in Auburn's side here. Like Cam Coleman's not going to keep dropping that pass. You know what I mean? Like he's not going to keep dropping that pass. So. I don't know, man. It's tough.
I wondered on Saturday if the shoulder injury had anything to do with why he didn't catch that ball. I know that's going to sound like an excuse to a lot of people, but he was injured the week before near the end of the game, and he was probable for most of the week or questionable for most of the week, and then upgraded to probable.
If he didn't make a one-handed catch on a 2-yard gain on the next series, I might say I just think that's just freshman stuff. Like Aaron Murray said, like it didn't look like he was even ready for the ball. Like he was sort of kind of floating to the middle of the field, not really looking for the ball, and then oh crap, it's on me. Kind of thing. So, and that's freshman stuff, and he's got to, where we need him. So he's got to make those plays. And I don't see that just continuing to be a trend with him. He's just his highlight reel in high school. He's got some of the best hands. Some of the catches he made were unreal. So, it's not a hands problem. I think it's mostly just a freshman problem and getting in the mix, getting in the moment, I guess.
Look, man, some of the best body control from
Ever.
a receiver I think I've ever seen.
Sure.
Look, Oklahoma comes to the Plains this weekend. I'll be there. I know you'll be there, and hopefully we're having a more positive conversation next Monday about what happened here with Hugh Freeze's team. They got to get it turned around, Charlie. The schedule is brutal for the next 4 games. You don't play a home game in the month of October. Auburn loses on Saturday. There's a possibility they could go into November 2-6, which is a complete disaster.
That would be a disaster.
So, but what's not a disaster is the Tuesdays that you spend with me and my guy, Charlie 5. Guys, we're out of here. That's it for another morning drop. This morning drop is brought to you by The Rogue Shop. Visit therogueshop.com and use code RAPPORT to get 20% off your order plus shipping. They are doing a great job at The Rogue Shop. We appreciate them for sponsoring us. If you want more Charlie 5, you can find them over at The Barn. www.thebarnauburn.com. Visit The Barn for some great conversation. The best Auburn forum out, guys. Very healthy environment over there. We appreciate them for sponsoring us and for Charlie 5 for coming on the show today. We'll be back at you guys tomorrow with more Morning Drop. Signing off, and as always, War Eagle.
Drop.